I call the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to take a call in the third reading of the Insurance Prudential Supervision Amendment Bill, and it is a well worthwhile bill for the House to be debating. Labor is supporting the bill. Labor believes, however, that the bill doesn't really grapple with the fundamental problems of the insurance market and the insurance industry. It does provide welcome oversight by the Reserve Bank in a way that we think is in keeping with international best practice. Mr Speaker, it wasn't many days ago that Wellingtonians experienced an earthquake of the sort of magnitude that causes people to really reflect upon their lives and the way they normally go about things. It was over 6 magnitude. Fortunately, no real injuries and no loss of life, and only relatively minor property damage on this occasion. But, sir, we all understand that this House sits on New Zealand's equivalent of the San Andreas Fault, the Wellington Fault, and the cascade of many thousands of small, medium and large earthquakes northwards from the Canterbury fault lines that underpinned the devastating Christchurch quakes has raised in the minds of many New Zealanders the degree to which Wellington's region, like Marlborough, is at risk of a catastrophic quake in the near future. According to GNS, the Institute of Geological and Natural Sciences, the probability 2 weeks ago of a quake within the Wellington region was put at 21% over the following week after the last 6+. That was a 1 in 5 chance of another earthquake of magnitude 6+. It might have been 6, it might have been 7, it might have been, God help us, an 8. The key point, sir, is with a 21% chance in 1 week and a 51% chance in 1 year, one of two things is going to happen. Either we are going to get a devastating earthquake in central New Zealand and we are going to exceed the ability of the EQC and reinsurance arrangements to cope, or the mere probability being rated at that level will strain the reinsurance market even if no quake occurs, because insurance is priced based on risk. What are the consequences for New Zealand? Mr Speaker, while this bill deals with ensuring the transparency and probity of the operations of the insurance market, it does not, and we welcome that as far as it goes, it does not tackle the two key underlying problems. Firstly, that the Earthquake Commission's reserves have been, naturally enough, significantly run down coping with the Canterbury earthquakes, and we need to rebuild those reserves as quickly as possible in case we get another quake. Secondly, the fundamental problems in the insurance market and the escalating seismic risk around New Zealand mean that we could be in the position where there is a fundamental breakdown of the insurance market itself, because insurance becomes priced out of the reach of normal commerce. What will the key government do? And the answer is, in the face of this historic challenge, they are tinkering with this bill. There is nothing in this bill that addresses those fundamental problems. Nothing in this bill that provides support for the reinsurance market. Nothing in this bill. John Hayes is doing exercise, sir. What a wonderful spectacle. I encourage it. Sir, you may end up with a body like Mr Goldsmith there very soon. And lovely to have Maggie Barry with us, sir, sitting behind the lovely Judith Collins, garbed as she was today from Plantarama. It's just like the garden show is back with us again. But enough mirth, Mr Speaker, enough mirth. It's really important for New Zealand that if we get the big one, we can pay to rebuild it. And we won't get an insurance market that works off the basis of this bill alone. You can always tell a government that's in decline, Mr Speaker, because the backbenchers are getting restless. They spend their mornings counting heads between Stephen Joyce and Judith Collins, knowing that the end is nigh for John Key. It's either coming in 15 months' time with a rejuvenated Labour Party, or he's going to step down just after. Mr Speaker, those rowdy, underutilised, frustrated, venomous backbenchers over there, they know that they are going to miss out on ministerial office. That's why they're all gathered around Mr Bridges. He's their only touch with greatness, and that's a pretty fading dream. Back to the calisthenics from Mr Hayes. And there we are, sir. The parliamentary pantomime trundles on. But meantime, sir, the problems in the insurance market, unfortunately, are very real. And I'm very concerned, and my party's very concerned, our party's very concerned, that if there are not a more fundamental set of examinations of the insurance market, New Zealand will be caught unable to deal with the big one in Wellington or with the risks that potential creates in the market. And I would ask the government, at what point will they lift their gaze above the tinkering that is going on in this bill to address those questions by, for example, setting up another state insurer who could act to provoke competition in the market and keep the international reinsurers honest. Where is the courage from this national government, Mr Speaker? Where is the foresight? Where is the looking over the horizon from them that would allow them to stand up for what New Zealand really needs? And the answer, sir, is there isn't any. There hasn't been any since we faced the great challenges of the Christchurch earthquake and the global financial crisis. They've just, to use their own words, muddled through. And New Zealanders are despairing. You can see the hope fading in their eyes, and many thousands heading to the departure gates because they expected recovery. What did they get? Stagnation. Unemployment stubbornly high, sir. Nothing in this bill to address unemployment. Well above the projections of their own budgets from the last 3 years. Not surprising, Mr Speaker, because they've done nothing active to get it down. Sitting there on their cushy seats in their ministerial LTDs, climbing the greasy pole of ambition like Mr Bridges, waiting for the market to deliver nirvana for someone more than their own mates. That's not going to work, Mr Speaker. Meanwhile, the insurance market all around is failing. The best that this government can serve up is tinkering reform, extending the micro-regulatory powers of the Reserve Bank and ignoring the elephant in the room, which is the fundamental escalation of risk and the inability of the reinsurance market to deal with it within a price range that will work for New Zealanders. Mr Speaker, yet another example of a government that's lost its way, lost its touch, and on the way to the departure gate. Thank you.
I call the honourable member Maggie Barry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
You're welcome.
It is with